Okay, nope, that's not gonna work either. Okay, well, I tried. Yeah, yet again, here we are with me trying to like get Twitch to look half decent. Sometimes I don't know why I bother. See, and there you go, because I can't have nice things. Okay, sorry. Hand print now, because this is live and therefore awesome as usual. 'Cause I can't. Oh, this is even worse than usual. It's because I can't. Anyway, so for those of you just tuning in, as you watch my amazing not camera skills, because I am not a camera person, I am a poor person who likes to draw and write and tell stories. So Twitch, you get to see the clutter that is my kitchen, dining room, and YouTube. You get to see the flashing on and off. So there we go. It is what it is. Hi everybody, I'm back again, and here to talk not about my camera work, but actually about what I've been doing this week, which has been actually nothing. Not nothing. I've done some like toying around with stuff, but I've also just been taking this week has been all about taking time for myself and specifically doing some like very, very deliberate self-care, which I came to realize can be a lot of different things. Self-care can be something simple, like just doing something nice for yourself every day, which I was like, okay, well, you know, eh, never really thought much of that, but I guess it can be. And it's really important to take that time to do that for yourself. But also, self care can also be just organizing things. Like the big mess I have in my house, I'm working my way through trying to organize things and de- just demessify. We're beyond clutter, we're into mess. So, demessify my house. Um, that's also another way because the more organizing yourself can also be helpful for your like mental state. Despite what they say, some people say that a clutter is a sign of a very intelligent person. That might be true, but at the same time it's good to be organized. And also there comes a time there's a balance between clutter and then just simple mess and hoarding and things like that, where that goes into a whole entire another section of help that's needed. So that's what I've been focusing on this week. However, one part of this week, I also began reading Steering with Craft so that I could prep. And I will be doing a video on it, so it'll be on YouTube when I finally do it. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm not going to be specifically talking about what I'm doing in the book. Like I'm not going to talk about break down each thing and go over it because that's for someone to read this. But I can talk about my experiences with each of the lessons. And the lessons, this might be a very small book, but the lessons they have in it are really thought provoking. So they take a bit of time. As I was going through, I'm like, oh, I can burn out these exercises, no problem. However, got to the first exercise, and it talks about the oration of language, basically, and and it wants you to try and write a piece that involves that. And when I say oration, I mean things like spoken word. And when I say spoken word, I mean spoken word poetry. Not just poetry though, because it can also be prose as well. But stuff that things that are written in a specific way. A very good example of this is George Carlin. Some of his stand up involves is very, very based and predicated on language and structure of language. And so it's fun to kind of listen. Another perfect example, like right up this alley, is Lord Buckley. If you've ever heard anything by Lord Buckley, he just has this way of it's lyrical almost, and when you just have to listen to it. I mean, he's it's old poetry, but it's really, really like it's beat poetry, but not beat like Jack Kerouac. This is like it's got beats to it and rhythm to it, so it's something you'd have to listen to. But this is a really good example of what she's talking about. Of also being able to paint a picture with your language. Another good example of that is one of the most colorful writers I know is Raymond Chandler. He had a way just just like painting a picture and using analogy in order to help build on the environment and the mood and the feeling of a scene. Another person who's really good about that was also Robert E. Howard, who wrote the Conan. So if you're more of a fantasy person, I would read him because he's really, really, and there's a bunch of short stories, so it's not even like you have to slog through like a big, doorstop or anything like that. You can there he has a lot there's a lot of short, and a bunch of it is also in public domain, so it's easy to kind of get your hands on, and you can kind of go to Project Gutenberg and listen from there. But having said that, as you can tell, it's not going to be a simple bang off my exercise and there you go. But what I will do is I'm going to go through the exercise, um, and when I'm ready, I will present my attempt, which I was already worried that this might be above me, but I don't know. Like, this is just something I've never tried, so it's really never. Well, that's not even true. I've tried some poetry. I've done quite a bit of poetry because that seemed to be pretty easy, although I think a lot of it's pretty hackneyed. That's my opinion. Um, but that's kind of where I've been. And then just recently, I did touch a little bit on one of the stories that I was working on, and then just recently, it's been in the back of my mind to work on this other story that I was also working on, and it's kind of been in the back of my brain, just annoying me just enough that I want to work on that. So I've printed off stuff and discovered some more notes I didn't even realize I had. So I'm going to go over that and see if that kind of gets my ideas spinning. What I'm going to be doing next week is not necessarily writing related, although I will be working on writing stuff because I just can't not. But I will be teaching myself um, another software program. It's one I actually have owned for years and years and years. I just haven't really sat down and tried to master it. So this week I bought another add-on for the program, and now I'm just going to sit down and try and learn it because I've already learned some other new programs, even though I've bought them after this one, and it's the same sort of thing. It's a bunch of graphic stuff. It's for comics, but that's okay. The other things I'm going to be working on are I'm either going to be working on this one story or this other story. And I guess I'll give them titles. One is Carla. It's called Carla and the Elves, but it's not the name of the title of the story, because that's just, it was a working title, and it's a bad working title because it's not what that, yeah. It's a holdover from when I was very, very young. And then I'm going to be working on Sword of Justice. I'm going to be kind of balancing between the two of them. It's not even Camp NaNoWriMo yet, but I want to try and see where I'm at with both of those. And with Carla, I realized I printed it off, but I didn't print it off in sections. I printed it all off as one big hulking document, and it didn't separate everything, so I have to reprint it off, and I've been putting that off because it's like about, I think it's like 100 or 200 pages, and yeah, that's a 100-page mistake that I made that I didn't realize until I go in to sit down. I'm like, oh, these are all, it's all just like, because I have, it's kind of an outline slash draft. A zero draft is the best way to describe it. And it's all run together though. So there's like sections where I just have the title as part of it, and there's nothing inside because I work with Scrivener. So each one is like a folder kind of thing. Each scene is a folder, which was also a mistake I made. And I went to compile, not realizing that it's not going to break out each scene separately. It just put it into one big document. So that's 100 pages that I can't get back. Although, on a brighter note, being an artist, I can use it as scrap paper and doodle on the back of it and draw and practice things on the back of it, like I used to do with my dad's stuff. So, yay! There's that. That is one saving grace. Otherwise, I just wasted like over 100 pages of paper and a lot of ink on an accident. That's okay. You live and you learn. and I'm one of those people that gets to make the mistakes. I've made so many mistakes. I've learned a lot of things over the years. But having said that, was there anything else that I can think of offhand? No, that's what I'm going to be working on. I'm either going to be working on Carla and the Elves or Sword of Justice. And Sword of Justice is me breaking that down from one book into like a mini series, which, yeah, it's about as daunting as it sounds. I have like the story itself is its own arc. It's basically a story arc, but just so much happens that it needs to be expanded on, and so that you can, yeah, I've gone over it before. I've talked about it before. I keep on rehashing it. My biggest challenge right now with that is I need to figure out where everything ends off, and I kind of need to weave in what I did for NaNoWriMo. Yeah, it was NaNoWriMo where I put in where I started working on it, and I think I got part of the way, and then I eked off onto Carla and the Elves, which I think is going to be like just the way it is. I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between these two projects until one or both of them are done. Balancing that with the editing I'm doing. So, but it seems like I work on one project for a while, and then the other project calls to me. So then I work on that project for a while, and then the other project calls for me. And I think that's just the way it's going to be. And the amusing part about that is both books are based off of my dad's stories. Carla and the Elves is a prequel because it takes place during the search for the unicorns. So it happens like literally right before the end. And then Sword of Justice is one of my dad's novels that I'm just going to be largening. Oh, words. Yay. I make words for people. Anyway, the fears and the joys of streaming live. Yeah, Sword of Justice is a novel that my dad wrote, but in saying that, there's just so much of it that's been glossed over that I think it really would be better served as a series, because I want to kind of explore more of the interplay between the two characters to see how they develop, which I think would work better as a series rather than just a standalone novel, which is pretty big in and of itself. Yeah. See, I'm gonna say that this is all part of. If I was savvy, I'd be saying this is all part of my Camp NaNoWriMo prep. I'd like to say that. I don't know. I mean, I want to take part. I like the idea of taking part in NaNoWriMo and Camp NaNoWriMo, except for I'm very project driven, which doesn't count words. I don't do the word count. I can do I need to get these scenes done. I can do scenes. That's the best I can do though, because I can't get hung up on word count, which is probably one of the better reasons as to why I can't traditionally publish either, because I'm not stuck on. I can't be stuck on a word count. I need to be stuck on the story. How am I best telling the story? How is the story best being told? Which is going to be fun when I take it to an editor, because yeah, because that's the thing. I do editing of my dad's work. However, these two stories are stories that I'm going to have to send off to an editor, because while I will obviously do some editing I'll do editing, but it's not going to be the same kind of editing that I do on my dad's novels, because I am in the middle of writing it. Therefore, I can't properly edit it. I can do a certain amount of self-editing, but then it comes to a point where you have to have another set of eyes on it. And specifically another editor set of eyes on it to be able to go over the structural nuances of it, because other stuff can kind of be can be reviewed artificially and can be like picked apart on its own, but like when it comes down to structural things that aren't working within a story, that works. In my opinion anyway, it works best to have somebody else take a look at it and let you know glaring errors and glaring structural errors in a story. But that's my 2 cents worth. And I'm sorry that I'm sorry, YouTube, that I keep on. The lighting is horrible. I can't really do anything about it. It's not even that like the lighting is changing. It's just, I don't know. Not a clue. So, thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to wrap it up for now because I've kind of just sort of blathered on. But there's a lot going on. A lot for having done nothing this week. Which is kind of cool because I needed to take the rest and I feel better for having done it. Um, yeah, the video for this will be in pieces because I'm going to be doing each exercise as I go. It's going to be a long time coming. I'll let you know once as I get everything edited. But that's the other thing is that I have to go through everything, record, edit, and it's going to take a while for this exercise. I described it to you basically, but there's more to it than that. Like even me just describing it, that's me describing it poorly. If you are interested in it, I would recommend picking up the book because it's like she says though, it's not for beginners. So if you're just starting out, I wouldn't necessarily go with it. If you've been writing for a while and it's not what I thought it was. Like when she said, oh, this is not for beginners, she also meant that it's not for people who are beginning to tell stories. It's not about what I thought it was, which was knowing what different parts of the jargon is. Although she does say it's important to know your jargon, but that wouldn't necessarily help with the exercises that she's giving you. So I would say it's for people who are midway through. Definitely. And as soon as I have that first video done, I'll let everyone know. But that's not this week. uh, anyway, thank you all for tuning in, and I will talk to you all again next week. Take care. Bye.